Wicked John and Awesome Jack were two of the scroungiest, sorriest ne'er-do-wells that anybody had ever seen. And they were always coming up with different kinds of get-rich-quick schemes, 'cause neither one of them were willing to work. And their latest scheme was the atomic-powered automatic cornbread making machine. And they just about had it perfected. They were working on it in an old shed behind Awesome Jack's house when they discovered that they didn't have a good recipe for cornbread. Because the only thing their machine would put out was something like mush. Cold, wet, damp, moldy mush. And they both agreed that it would never pass as cornbread. And, of course, the best cornbread in the county was made by Granny Florence. Well, now, Granny Florence would never give anyone her recipe because it was a secret family cornbread recipe. And those kind of things are highly protected in the mountain area. So Wicked John and Awesome Jack realized that the only way they were going to get Granny Florence's cornbread recipe was to steal it. So they decided that they needed to go to town and get a few things for the machine they were building. They needed a few gears and sprockets and shafts and chains. And on the way back, maybe they'd stop by Granny Florence's house and see if they couldn't at least get a sample of the cornbread to analyze and maybe talk her out of the recipe. So they went down to the hardware store, and as Wicked John was distracting the salesman by pretending to be interested in buying a pencil, then Awesome Jack slipped around the store and filled the back pockets of his overalls and the seat of his overalls with all sorts of gears, shafts, pulleys, belts, and sprockets. And as they were left the store, there was kind of a clanking or clattering sound coming from Awesome Jack, and the store clerk looked a little funny at him, but they managed to get away with it, and they walked across the hill and back down through the valley and up the creek to Granny Florence's house. Well, sir, they got there and they knocked on the door, and Granny Florence said, "And what do you two boys want?" Well, they plied her with all sorts of compliments and told her they were worried about her and how was her health, until finally she invited them in. Well, it was about lunchtime, and being the nice old granny lady she was, she offered them something to eat, a big glass of buttermilk and a chunk of her cornbread. Well, Awesome Jack and Wicked John made over her cornbread like it was the greatest thing that had ever come. And they were just working up to trying to beg her for the recipe. And Granny Florence was getting a little suspicious because she knew they were ne'er-do-wells and would never pay her a compliment for no reason. When finally Wicked John says, "And how about telling us how you make this cornbread so good?" Granny Florence knew what they were up to at that point, and she went in the other room and took her old squirrel rifle down off the shelf and came back in and said, "You boys will never get my recipe for cornbread. Now hit the road." Well, they both jumped up, dropped their cornbread and buttermilk, and out the door they went and down across the pasture. Well, Granny Florence just showered down on them one time with that old gun. Boom! Well, don't you know, it hit Awesome Jack right in the seat of the pants, right where all those gears were. And out flew all those sprockets, gears, belts, shafts, and pulleys as he ran across the creek. And Granny Florence said, "Well, I knew they were some strange people, and he could run awful fast, and as they left here they ran so fast that he stripped out 3 gears a-going across the creek." And you know, they never did get that atomic-powered cornbread machine to work. Someone said it blew up on them, and when they were seen last, they had little spots and burnt places all over their bodies, but maybe they'll get it working tomorrow.